We're here with Savage Dragon creator Erik Larsen.
Hey man.
Freak of nature.
What?
Strange grip.
Okay.
Very interesting style. What issue are we coming up on Savage Dragon right now?
Working on issue 182 right now. So
182.
181 just came out.
Plugging along. There's not a lot of people in the field right now that have that consistent record.
I don't know what's wrong with them.
Well, I think that kind of work ethic is something that's missing in the industry today, and that's exactly what I wanted to discuss with you. What is it? I mean, since you work with Image Comics, you have a different perspective. And since you're on the board, what do you think is right with comics today, and what's wrong with comics?
I don't know. I think there are two. It depends on what comics you mean, because there are, I think for Marvel stuff, there are just too many books, and just as a reader, it's tough to be on top of everything. I think it would be better for everybody involved if creative teams would stick together a little bit better, and so you could count on something being on a certain title rather than 4 months of something and then it's gone, or 6 months and then it's gone,
or having to get the crossover titles.
Yeah, it just gets too complicated, and it makes it tough as a reader to really just be on top of it, and it's a really expensive hobby, and it's gotten more so over time, and I think it's tough to go, it's really worth that money when the format still stays the way the format is.
Okay, and what's right with the comic industry today? What are the things that are changing it and making it a better?
Well, I think from my perspective, is that there's more creator-owned stuff, and people are getting to tell the story that they always wanted to tell. That there are guys who have been doing comics for a long time and doing, Marvel, DC, whatever stuff, and it's kind of nice to be able to see, well, if given your own druthers, what would you do on your own? What would you bring to the table? And it's interesting to see what just comes out of it.
How do you feel about crowdfunding, like Kickstarter, Indiegogo?
I think it's awesome. It's great that people are able to do that. And it works every now and then, right?
I think so, yeah. I've done a couple of projects with some people, and they've come out pretty on top.
That's a nice way of doing it. Because it's hard to gauge. The real problem with a lot of just the ordering system and the way things are is the store doesn't know with absolute certainty what people will buy if they get into their store. So with something like Kickstarter, you can get the sales pitch and you can get committed to buying something directly from the person who's doing it, and it makes that whole thing that much easier.
Okay.
A lot of things have changed over the years. It used to be that the comic book companies themselves would send out the books, and that's how they would determine what they thought was going to sell, and like that. Now you've got retailers who are making those decisions. Sometimes it works out really well, and sometimes it doesn't. So,
do you think that Diamond is helping to actually cripple the industry?
It's not intentionally, of course. I don't think anybody is sitting there going, let's do this. But I think the end result has been some of that, and it's been a very complicated situation. But it's tough right now. It also, with things just being in comic stores and people pandering to the people who are still buying comics, is you end up with a lot of books that are aimed at sort of the indoctrinated, not necessarily that they're too mature for kids, but just that they're too involved in that you have to know too much stuff in order to really be able to understand.
It's particularly one of the reasons I stay away from Marvel DC. I used to read it when I was a kid, but after my time in the military coming back in, I was lost. I didn't know where to pick up, what storyline was going on, what universe I was in.
Yeah. well, you go into a store and you can have there'll be 5 or 6 different books where they'll have a very similar logo to each other, and you'll find out, no, this is part of this series and this is part of that, and it's just tough as a reader.
Yeah.
You know, when I hate to do that old when I was a boy stuff, but when I was a boy, you know, Marvel published 30 titles.
Yeah.
And now they're publishing roughly 100, and there's just no way to keep on top of it.
Okay, and final question, and it's on a personal note. You do a lot of tweeting. You're very opinionated on your Twitter. Specifically politics. I'd like to know which way you're going for the election coming up.
I'll be supporting Barack Obama.
Barack Obama. Okay. Just wanted to get that on there. It's it's topical. It's something aside from the comics.
You know, yeah. I mean, that's
when it's interesting because when I see you at the cons, you're a very different person than when I see you on the Twitters. It's like Jekyll and Hyde.
Read it all as though I'm smiling.
Okay.
You know, and I think a lot of times, you know, I'm somewhat of a shit disturber, and a lot of it is just seeing if you can get a rise out of somebody. You know?
I see you with a couple of boats in a bathtub, and you're just going and knocking them over a few times, just seeing what happens. All right, Erik, I appreciate your time.
All right.
It's a pleasure as always. Thank you.